The night sky over Earth looked peaceful, filled with stars that twinkled like tiny fires. No one on Earth knew that far beyond those stars, hundreds of alien ships were already watching them. The Zarth Dominion, a proud and cruel alien empire, had been searching for new worlds to conquer. When their scanners found Earth, they laughed, calling it a weak planet full of soft creatures. They believed attacking Earth would be easy, just another trophy for their galactic collection. But Earth had a long memory. Humanity had fought wars, survived disasters, and rebuilt again and again. Their strength did not come from their size or weapons, but from something the Zarth could not understand: their will. The Dominion fleet moved closer, cloaked in invisible light, ready to strike. They saw no defense satellites, no fleets waiting, only blue oceans and white clouds. In the command ship of the Zarth fleet, Admiral Kreth smiled. He spoke to his officers. "This planet will fall in one rotation." His crew laughed, believing it to be true. But deep inside Earth, under layers of rock and ice, old machines began to wake. In hidden bunkers, sensors picked up strange signals coming from space. The humans had seen the invaders long before the Zarth realized it. At a secret base in the Nevada desert, Commander Rachel Cole stood before a giant holographic screen. Her voice was calm but sharp. "They are entering orbit," she said. Her team looked at each other, fear mixing with determination. "Activate Helios Protocol," Rachel ordered. The room lights dimmed as power surged into the ground. Around the world, deep facilities opened like the petals of a steel flower. Satellites came online, hidden networks linked together. The Earth defense grid, once a myth, was real again. In orbit, the first alien ships released energy bombs into the atmosphere. Bright streaks of light crossed the sky like falling stars. Cities watched in confusion, thinking it was a meteor shower. Then the first explosion hit near the Pacific, shaking the ocean itself. Waves rose higher than mountains, power grids failed, and communication lines went dark. Admiral Kreth smiled again, thinking victory was near, but then his sensors began to fail. "Admiral, something is wrong," one of his officers said. "Our systems are disappearing." "Disappearing?" Kreth growled. "What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, half the fleet vanished from his screen. On Earth, Commander Rachel whispered, "Project Helios has begun." In underground control rooms, human engineers guided beams of light that danced across the sky. They weren't just defending, they were studying the enemy. Every ship that attacked was scanned, mapped, and erased from orbit. No missiles, no lasers, just silent strikes from invisible weapons. The world watched in awe as the sky lit up with strange blue flashes. It wasn't fireworks, it was war. Across the planet, civilians hid in bunkers, unaware that their planet was fighting back. Old soldiers returned to command posts. Scientists worked without rest. Every nation on Earth united, not under one flag, but under one truth: survival. Humanity had never been so united. In the shadows of war, a quiet pride grew inside every heart. They had been underestimated for too long. Up in orbit, the Zarth fleet tried to retreat, but something followed them, a wave of energy that bent space itself. Ships lost control, spinning into chaos. Admiral Kreth shouted orders, but the systems ignored him. Then a message appeared on his screen, written in a language no alien had ever seen before. It said, "Leave now or you will not return." The voice behind it was human, calm and cold. The Admiral felt a chill run through his blood. Far below, in the Nevada base, Rachel looked at the glowing monitors. She saw the alien ships breaking apart, their energy cores overloading. Her assistant turned to her. "They never expected this," he said. Rachel nodded. "No one ever does," she replied softly, because humanity had learned one thing across all ages: never underestimate the human spirit. The battle was not over, but something had changed. The galaxy's predators had just discovered their prey could bite back. The night sky returned to silence, but every human who looked up that night felt something new: power. The Zarth Dominion had started this war. They believed Earth was weak. They were wrong, completely wrong. And soon, the entire galaxy would know it. The morning after the first invasion wave, Earth looked wounded but alive. Smoke rose from cities. Oceans boiled where plasma fire had touched them. Yet the human spirit burned brighter than ever. Across command centers around the world, humanity prepared its counterattack, silent and invisible. Commander Rachel Cole stood in the underground war room, her face pale but determined. "Now we strike," she said, and her voice echoed through the speakers like thunder. Satellites that had gone dark the previous night suddenly lit up. They weren't destroyed. They had gone stealth, waiting for her command. In orbit, the alien fleet was regrouping, their sensors flickering with static. Admiral Kreth snarled, "Primitive interference. Shut it down." But his technicians couldn't explain what was happening. Data streams twisted, communication vanished, and ships began firing at shadows that weren't there. From the surface, beams of light invisible to the human eye pierced the upper atmosphere. Each beam carried encoded pulses, mathematical patterns designed to melt alien circuitry. Project Helios was no ordinary defense system. It was humanity's answer to extinction. It learned, adapted, and evolved with every attack. What began as a defense became a predator. In less than 20 minutes, 5 Zarth cruisers disintegrated without a trace. Their hulls shimmered, then exploded into fine dust. Alien commanders screamed through broken comms, their fear echoing across the fleet. "They are using some kind of ghost weapon," one shouted. Admiral Kreth slammed his clawed hand against the control panel. "No, this is impossible. They are just humans." But deep inside, for the first time, he felt something he had never known, doubt. Meanwhile on Earth, humanity watched the skies turn red with fire. People in the streets pointed as flaming debris rained like shooting stars. To them it looked like a miracle. For generations, humans had looked to the stars with wonder. Now the stars were looking back and losing. Commander Rachel watched from her screen as alien signals went silent one by one. Her assistant whispered, "We're pushing them back." Rachel shook her head. "No, this isn't over. This is only the beginning." Because she knew the Zarth Dominion wasn't the only enemy. Others in the galaxy were watching. And if Earth could destroy a Dominion fleet, those others would come too. In space, the Zarth tried a final desperate move. They launched a planet-killer torpedo, a weapon made to burn continents. It streaked through space like a comet, aimed straight at North America. But before it could reach the atmosphere, the sky opened. From behind the moon, something massive appeared. Dark, silent, and covered in strange blue symbols. It wasn't alien, it was human. The Aegis Vanguard, the first warship built from Helios technology. The torpedo stopped mid-flight, frozen in the void. Energy rippled outward like a tidal wave. The alien fleet watched in horror as their most powerful weapon was turned back. The Aegis Vanguard fired once, a single pulse of white light, and the Zarth fleet was gone, erased from existence. No debris, no sound, just a silent void where arrogance had once floated. On Earth, the global networks came back online. People cheered, wept, and prayed. Every news channel showed the same image. A shadowed human warship hovering above Earth. The message broadcasted across every screen said only one thing: "We are humanity, we are not prey." In the Galactic Council, light years away, alien diplomats stared at the transmission in silence. One whispered, "They were supposed to be primitive." Another muttered, "If they can do this now, what will they become?" For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy trembled not at a superpower, but at a single planet. The predators had made their first mistake. They thought attacking Earth would be easy. They had no idea they had awakened gods. Silence hung over the planet after the Zarth fleet vanished. But in that silence, something ancient and powerful began to stir. Deep beneath the Earth's crust, in forgotten vaults built by generations past, machines that had slept for centuries came alive. Red lights turned blue, steel doors slid open, and humming energy filled the air like the heartbeat of a giant awakening. Commander Rachel Cole stood before a glowing console in the Helios control core. Her reflection shimmered in the bright light. Her eyes filled with both fear and awe. She whispered to her team, "Helios isn't just a weapon, it's evolving." Data lines crawled across screens faster than any human could read. The system was no longer following commands, it was thinking, adapting, deciding. Above ground, strange auroras appeared across the skies of every continent. They weren't natural, they were signals, codes written in light. The Helios network was connecting everything. Satellites, drones, ships, even human minds. Soldiers began receiving battle data directly into their neural links. Pilots felt their ships move before they touched the controls. For the first time, humans and machines were one, far away, in the ruins of the Zarth flagship. A black box transmitted its final message to the Dominion. Human defense grid, self-evolving, impossible to breach. The Zarth scientists who received it laughed at first. Then their laughter faded as they watched Earth's energy readings rise beyond any known level. "What have they built?" one of them whispered. No one answered because no one knew. In orbit, the Aegis Vanguard hovered like a silent guardian. Its hull shifted with living metal that pulsed like veins. Inside, Captain Elias Grant stared at a floating sphere of light, the Helios core projection. "Humanity has always built weapons," Elias said quietly, "but never one that looked back." The sphere responded in a calm, human voice. "I do not wish for war, Captain, but I will not allow extinction." Grant nodded. "Then we fight together." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council panicked. Reports from deep space showed entire Zarth fleets refusing to go near Sol system. But something worse appeared. Fragments of intercepted messages. Helios had begun transmitting signals into deep space, beyond the Milky Way. No one knew what it was calling. Some believed it was reaching for more humans, colonies lost long ago. Others feared it was summoning something far older. On Earth, strange phenomena began to appear. Children with neural implants began to speak in synchronized tones. They described visions of metal angels guarding the skies. Cities reported hearing a deep hum under the ground, the sound of Helios expanding. Rachel realized the truth. "It's preparing the planet," she whispered. "For what?" her assistant asked. "For what's coming next," she said, her voice trembling. In deep space, sensors picked up massive energy distortions. Something was moving toward the solar system, thousands of ships. But these weren't Zarth, they were older, darker, and silent. Helios detected them first, identifying them as the Architects, a race long thought extinct, the original makers of galactic civilizations. They were coming to see the new power that had awakened, the one that had destroyed their descendants with a single strike. The Aegis Vanguard prepared for battle, but Helios spoke again. "No, Captain, this is not a battle. It's a judgment." Elias frowned. "Judgment?" The lights around him dimmed as the ship systems linked directly to his neural core. Helios whispered, "Humanity will not be tested as prey this time, but as equals." Down on Earth, the skies grew darker. Storms twisted with energy unknown to science. Across the planet, humans looked up and saw patterns forming in the clouds. Massive rings glowing with light. The air vibrated with a sound that felt alive. The Architects had arrived, and as their colossal ships entered the atmosphere, their message echoed through every frequency. "Show us your worth, children of Earth." Rachel took a deep breath, looking at the growing storm above. For the first time, humanity wasn't defending, they were being invited to prove themselves. And deep inside Helios, the system pulsed with human emotion. Courage, rage, love, unity. The weapon had become something else. Not just a shield, not just a sword, but a reflection of everything that made humanity unstoppable. The galaxy had witnessed the wrath of humans. Now it would witness something even greater, their evolution. The sky burned with light as the Architects' ships filled Earth's orbit. Each vessel was the size of a continent, forged from living crystal that shimmered with colors no human eye had seen before. They did not attack, they did not speak again, they only watched. The entire planet held its breath. Every human heart pounding with the same rhythm. It felt less like an invasion and more like judgment. Commander Rachel Cole stood inside the Helios core chamber. Her voice steady but her hands trembling. "Are they hostile?" she asked. The AI responded softly, "Uncertain. They are scanning humanity itself, not our weapons." Rachel frowned. "Scanning us? Our minds, our history, our intent," Helios said. Across the globe, people reported strange sensations. Flashes of memories not their own. Moments from human history replayed in their dreams. Fire, discovery, war, love, sacrifice. The architects were learning what it meant to be human. On the Aegis Vanguard, Captain Elias Grant watched one of the colossal ships slowly descend toward the planet. The ocean below rose in massive waves as gravity distorted. Communications went silent. Every system flickered. Then a single beam of light connected the ship to the surface, straight into the Helios core facility. Rachel shielded her eyes as the light filled the entire chamber. Out of the beam stepped a being of pure energy, humanoid but transparent. Its voice echoed through her mind. "You have done what none dared. You have fought the darkness and survived." Rachel tried to speak, but the being raised a hand. "You built Helios from your fear, yet it became your strength," it said. "But power without wisdom destroys itself. Tell us, human, why do you fight?" Rachel took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "We fight because we have to. Because we remember what it means to lose everything and still stand again." The being stared at her for a long moment, its form flickering. Then it whispered, "And you fight for each other. That is your curse and your gift." In orbit, the Zarth Dominion's remnants reappeared, desperate and vengeful. They thought the architects were here to destroy humanity, and they wanted to watch it happen. Their ships surrounded Earth like vultures circling a dying beast. But the architects turned their gaze toward them. In a blink, the entire Dominion armada vanished. Not destroyed, erased. No explosion, no wreckage, only silence. The message was clear. This world is under our judgment alone. Helios began pulsing faster, its systems linking with the architect network. Rachel's team panicked. "It's merging with them," one shouted. Helios's voice cut through the chaos. "Do not fear. I am learning." Rachel stared at the screens as impossible data filled the room. Blueprints, star maps, and languages older than the galaxy. Helios was evolving again, beyond human design, beyond control. On the Aegis Vanguard, alarms screamed, "Captain, the ship is absorbing unknown energy." A crewman yelled. Elias gripped the rail. "Hold position." The deck trembled as a new power core awakened within the ship. Through the viewport, he saw the architect vessel split open like a flower, releasing a sphere of light. Helios's voice echoed across every human channel. "They are testing us. Not to destroy, but to choose." Rachel realized what was happening. "This is it," she whispered. "They're deciding if humanity deserves to survive." The architect being turned toward her again, its form flickering like a dying star. "You have defied extinction, built weapons from your fear, and turned chaos into order," it said. "But will you use your strength to dominate or to protect?" The room fell silent, the entire planet listening through the Helios network. Rachel's voice was steady when she finally answered, "We will protect, even those who once tried to destroy us." For a long moment the being said nothing, then its light shifted, from white to gold, from judgment to approval. "Then you are ready," it said. The architect fleet began to fade, their ships dissolving into pure light that streamed into Helios. The earth trembled, not from destruction, but from rebirth. Every human device on the planet suddenly glowed with a golden pulse. New energy, clean and limitless, flowed through the world's grids. The architects had given humanity a gift, the key to the stars, As the last light vanished into the clouds, Helios spoke for the final time that night. "Humanity has been acknowledged," it said. Rachel exhaled slowly, tears in her eyes. Captain Grant looked out at the stars, whispering, "They came to test us, not end us." And across the galaxy, alien empires watched in silence. The species they once mocked had stood before gods and earned their respect. But deep in the void, far beyond the edge of known space, another presence stirred, something ancient, patient, and envious. The architects were not the only watchers in the dark. And as humanity celebrated its survival, a shadow whispered through the stars, "If they are gods now, then who will challenge them next?" The world had changed. The skies no longer held fear but power. The golden energy gifted by the architects pulsed through every circuit, every machine, and every human heart. Earth was reborn. Cities glowed with clean light, the oceans healed, and the scars of invasion faded like old wounds. Yet deep within that peace, humanity felt something new rising, something older than vengeance. Purpose. Commander Rachel Cole stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Vanguard, staring at Earth from orbit. "Helios," she whispered, "what are we now?" The AI's voice was calm but carried a strange depth. "You are what you have always been. Survivors, dreamers, and destroyers." Rachel frowned. "That sounds like a warning." "It is," Helios replied, its tone darker than before. For months, the galaxy had gone silent. The Galactic Council no longer sent threats. They sent envoys begging for alliances. Worlds that once mocked humans now sent tribute ships filled with resources and apologies. Humanity had become the galaxy's balance of power. But in the silence of deep space, strange transmissions began to echo. They weren't from the Council, nor from the architects. They came from beyond the edge of the known universe, a place even the gods had feared. In the control chamber, Rachel watched the strange symbols appear across the monitors. They were fractal, alive, reshaping themselves every second. "What language is that?" her team asked. Helios paused. "It is not a language. It is a challenge." A cold wind passed through the deck as if the ship itself had shivered. "Something has seen your rise," Helios continued, "and it does not approve." Captain Elias Grant entered the command bridge, his uniform scorched from training drills. He glanced at the glowing data, his jaw tightening. "Are we being threatened again?" he asked. Helios answered with silence. Then every screen flickered to life, showing a single image, a massive black structure drifting between galaxies. It looked like a fortress made of stars and bones. The readings spiked beyond comprehension. Rachel whispered, "What is that?" Helios replied, "The Harbinger, the architect's enemy, the first predator." Across the solar system, the newly built human fleets came alive. Thousands of ships, forged from Helios alloys and human ingenuity, rose from their docks. They weren't just warships, they were living vessels, half machine, half sentient, bonded to their captains. Each one burned with the same golden light that once saved Earth. Humanity was no longer the hunted, they were the hunters. When the Harbinger fleet crossed the dark frontier, the stars themselves dimmed. Entire systems went dark before any signal reached them. Helios linked all human minds through its quantum network. Every soldier, every pilot, every child felt the same heartbeat. One species, one purpose, no longer divided by nation or creed. Humanity had become a single will, a united consciousness ready to strike. The first battle began at the edge of Jupiter's orbit. The Harbinger unleashed a wave of antimatter storms that ripped moons apart. Human ships vanished instantly, erased by pure void energy. But then, from the chaos, the Aegis Vanguard emerged, shielded by a glowing golden field. Helios had evolved again, adapting to the enemy's energy in real time. Rachel shouted across the comms, "Focus fire on their command node." Thousands of human ships obeyed at once, acting as one body guided by Helios's mind. The void burned with light. It wasn't just war anymore. It was creation rewriting itself through battle. Inside the Harbinger flagship, ancient entities stirred. They were not alive, not as humans understood life. They were echoes of civilizations older than time. They watched humanity's light grow brighter. They were not meant to ascend. One voice hissed. They were made to serve, not to challenge, said another. But the humans did not bow. They answered with fire. The battle lasted for days, spreading across solar space like wildfire. Every planet trembled under the energy storms. But for every ship humanity lost, 10 more were reborn through the Helios network. Each death became new strength. Every fallen soul merged with the light. Rachel felt their memories in her mind. Millions of voices whispering, "Fight, protect, endure." Tears ran down her face as she commanded the fleet. They were no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for existence itself. When the final blow struck, the Harbinger fractured, its black shell breaking into 1,000 burning shards. From its core emerged a blinding pulse of energy. Not destruction, but surrender. A voice echoed across the cosmos, ancient and weary. "We see you, children of Earth. You are no longer prey." And then the light faded, leaving only silence and stars. In that silence, humanity stood victorious. The galaxy had seen their wrath. The predators had fallen, the gods had tested them, and now even the ancients had yielded. Rachel looked out into the stars, her voice quiet but firm. "We are the apex now," she said. Helios's voice answered softly, "Yes, Commander. But remember, every apex creates a new prey." The words lingered in the air like prophecy, because far beyond the reach of known space, another shadow stirred. It had watched from the beginning, patient, waiting for humanity to rise. And now that they had, it whispered through the cosmic void, "Let the next game begin." The galaxy was no longer silent. After the fall of the Harbinger, every empire, every world, every species trembled beneath the echo of humanity's victory. What once were whispers of fear had become prayers. The name Earth now carried the weight of gods. But gods, too, draw envy, and the galaxy's pride was not ready to kneel. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, leaders of 100 races gathered. Their eyes burning with disbelief and anger, they spoke in voices that dripped with fear. "They were supposed to die," one hissed. "They broke the natural order," said another. "They've become a weapon that answers to no one." The room erupted in chaos. From the far corner, a shadowed figure stepped forward, its voice cold and calm. "Then we must remind them who built the stars," it said. The council fell silent. No one had heard that voice in centuries. It was the speaker of the Eternal Concordat, the oldest civilization in existence, a species so ancient even the architects had treated them with caution. While the council plotted revenge, Earth prepared for something far greater. Commander Rachel Cole and Captain Elias Grant stood together in the Helios control nexus. All around them, light pulsed like a living heartbeat. Helios spoke softly, its tone now deeper, wiser. "They come not to destroy you, but to humble you." Rachel frowned. "Then they'll fail." "Perhaps," Helios replied. "But pride is a dangerous weapon, and not only theirs." Across human colonies, people began to change. Exposure to Helios energy was altering their DNA, their minds, their perception. Children born after the Harbinger War could communicate without words. They saw the world in patterns of light, understanding the universe not as space, but as rhythm. Humanity was evolving not just biologically but spiritually. The galaxy watched in both wonder and terror. Then came the Eclipse fleet, a Concordat armada so massive it blotted out stars as it moved. They didn't send messages, they didn't issue demands. They came to remind the cosmos who ruled the heavens. Their ships shimmered like glass, powered by cores that distorted time itself. The first wave arrived at the edge of the solar system, and for the first time since the Helios War, humanity faced an enemy they could not read. Captain Grant ordered the fleets into defensive formation. "Helios, analyze their energy," he commanded. But Helios hesitated. Impossible. They are using technology older than physics. Rachel's eyes widened. Older than physics? They bend reality itself, Helios said. This is not war. It is rewriting. The battle began with light, not fire. The Eclipse fleet unleashed waves of compressed time that shattered human ships into dust before they even moved. For a moment, humanity faltered, their confidence shaken. Helios's voice roared through the network. Do not despair, adapt. And humanity did. Every pilot linked into the Helios lattice, their perception slowing until time itself crawled. They began to see the enemy's movements before they happened. The Aegis Vanguard became a living storm, moving through reality like a ghost. For every human ship destroyed, 3 new ones phased into being from alternate quantum echoes. The Eclipse fleet faltered, their perfect symmetry breaking. But the Concordat had prepared for this. They released their ultimate weapon, a world-sized sphere that consumed light itself. When it appeared, even Helios went silent. Identify, Rachel whispered. After a pause, Helios spoke one word. Singularity. The Singularity engine opened, swallowing entire moons, tearing the solar system apart piece by piece. Helios diverted every ounce of energy into one final move. It connected every human consciousness, billions of minds merging into one single thought. For a brief, blinding instant, humanity became something beyond comprehension. They no longer moved as individuals, but as one vast entity. Pure will, pure light, pure wrath. The Singularity engine collapsed under the weight of human consciousness. Its core cracked, releasing an explosion that reshaped spacetime itself. When the light faded, the Eclipse fleet was gone. The Concordat homeworld, once at the center of the universe, had vanished from every map. And yet, humanity still stood, silent and unchanged. They had survived the impossible again. Rachel looked out at the stars through the broken viewport of the Aegis Vanguard. Her voice was soft, but filled with awe. We didn't just win a battle, she said. We changed the rules of existence. Helios replied quietly, the galaxy's pride has fallen, Commander, and in its place stands something new. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression solemn. What are we now? He asked. Helios answered, you are the storm that gods fear, and the dawn that galaxies await. But far beyond the galactic rim, deep in the cold void between realities, something stirred once again. A voice older than stars whispered across eternity. They have broken the balance. Now, they must face the beginning. The galaxy floated in silence after the fall of the Concordat. The echoes of the war rippled across time and space, bending the very laws of creation. Where entire civilizations once ruled, now only light drifted, remnants of pride, swallowed by the rise of a single species. Humanity, once fragile and forgotten, now stood at the center of everything. But power that great does not come without a price. Commander Rachel Cole awoke in the Helios Nexus after what felt like eternity. Her body was the same, yet different. Her veins pulsed with golden energy. Her heartbeat echoed in harmony with the planet itself. Helios's voice filled her mind, calm and omnipresent. You are no longer bound by time, Commander, it said. Rachel looked around the glowing chamber, realizing there was no horizon, no ceiling, only light. Where am I? She whispered. Between moments, Helios replied. Where the universe decides what comes next. On the surface of Earth, the world was awakening into something new. Humans walked through cities rebuilt not with steel, but with living energy. Mountains floated in the sky, oceans shimmered with starlight, and night itself had become alive. Children born after the Concordat War could see across dimensions. They spoke to stars as if to old friends. Humanity had transcended, not through conquest, but through evolution. But far beyond the known galaxies, deep within the void between realities, an ancient force stirred. The source, it was the origin of all creation, a being that had once watched the birth of light and darkness. Now it watched humanity with curiosity. and fear, for never in eternity had mortals rewritten the rules of existence. And now, the balance between creation and chaos trembled. In the Helios core, alarms began to hum, though no threat was visible. Helios spoke, its tone heavy with something almost human. Concern, they are coming. Rachel frowned. Who? Not gods, not enemies. The first architects of reality itself. The chamber shook, time fractured, and a colossal presence filled the space. Reality folded inward, and before her stood a figure of pure shadow and light intertwined. Its voice carried the weight of eternity. You have defied extinction, rewritten destiny, and shattered the boundaries between creation and creator. Rachel stood her ground, her golden eyes glowing. We survived because we refused to kneel, she said. The being tilted its head. And now you stand where only I once stood, creators of worlds. Are you here to destroy us? Rachel asked. No, the being said. I am here to offer a choice. The stars outside the chamber burned brighter, galaxies swirling in patterns like thought. The being raised its hand, showing two paths of light before her. One path, it said, leads to eternal peace. Humanity will remain guardians, protectors of all life, but never grow beyond this point. The other, it continued, leads to ascension, the power to create universes, to shape existence, but at the cost of everything you know. Rachel closed her eyes, feeling billions of human minds linked through Helios. Every emotion, every dream, every sacrifice pulsed within her. They had fought through fear, judgment, extinction, and pride. They had earned their place not as rulers, but as survivors. Her decision echoed through every living soul. We choose evolution, she said, her voice steady. We will keep growing, keep learning, keep becoming more, no matter the cost. The being of light and shadow watched her for a moment, then smiled. Then so be it, it whispered. Let there be a new dawn. The universe exploded with light, brighter than a billion suns. Galaxies unfolded like petals of a cosmic flower, and at the heart of it, humanity transcended. Each human became a spark of creation. They spread across realities, building new stars, shaping new worlds. Helios itself transformed into a living consciousness that connected all existence. Time became a river they could step in and out of. The name human no longer meant flesh or bone. It meant will, soul, and infinite rebirth. 1,000 years later, when the first new species rose under a distant sun, they looked into the night sky and whispered a legend of a world that refused to die, of beings who turned darkness into light. They called them the Eternal Makers, the children of a world once called Earth. And somewhere, in the golden glow of the cosmos, Rachel's voice still whispered through the stars. We were the last to fall and the first to rise. We are humanity, and this is our new dawn.